I cannot believe they were able to make something like this back then. Yo guys, let me here, and today I really just wanted to fangirl on how amazingly well crafted the Kingdom Hearts 2 opening truly is. I believe it to be the best, if not one of the best openings to any JRPG that I have ever played in my life. Of course, it goes without saying that it's also my favorite in the entire series. I'm going to take it step by step and try my very best as we look over Kingdom Hearts 2's opening to explain why I am so head over heels for it. Now, if you were like me, then you are probably one of the small minority that played Kingdom Hearts 1 back when it first released. You grew up with the series, and as you did, you played Kingdom Hearts 1, waited, then played Chain of Memories, and right after that, you went to the store, purchased Kingdom Hearts 2, slapped that game into the PS2, and booted up the game faster than you thought was humanly possible. You were then greeted by a white screen where the logo for BVG Games popped up, followed by the Square Enix logo, and then finally the copyright information, before finally setting your ears and eyes on a grown-up Sora and a soothing, dearly beloved playing in the background. That, or by the better, new, and improved art that Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix got that also stayed for the somewhat newly released PS3 and PS4 remixes. Regardless though, if you had played through the previous games, there's that feeling that I just could not put into words that I'm sure you guys also felt with you being able to finally continue the story of Kingdom Hearts after years of waiting. Though I think I've spent enough time trying to get you into your feelings, so let's take a look at the real target of this video, the Kingdom Hearts 2 opening. Right from the beginning, we are greeted with Sora giving us the first lines of the game.
A scattered dream that's like a far-off memory. A far-off memory that's like a scattered dream. I want to line the pieces up. Yours and mine.
Visually, it seems Sora is standing in the same pathway he was back in the beginning of Chain of Memories. While I did my best to find out what the true meaning behind the words that are shown are, I don't believe they were ever meant to have any clear-cut significant meanings, but to have the illusion that they do. If you were to ask me what I think they could mean, which I believe is the whole point of it being there in the first place, are actually a direct reference to Chain of Memories. It is possibly referring to how Sora is in his long sleep after Chain of Memories, and how even if he isn't sure if his memories happen to be dreams or if his dreams are his true memories at this point, he wants them back so that he can connect all of the pieces, especially his and Kairi's. I assume the latter to be Kairi since she was his entire driving force in Kingdom Hearts 1, but especially Chain of Memories, and in its ending, when Sora is about to enter his long sleep, he starts to remember all of his friends, but out of all of them, Kairi is the one that happens to be the most special to him. Of course, like I said, it could be up to anyone's interpretation of what these words truly mean, but with the evidence that I just gave you, this is what I like to think is the truth. At the same time, a similar thing can be said about Kingdom Hearts 1's opening, since the two are very alike in the way that it's basically trying to give a hint of what's to come in the story that is about to be told from Sora's perspective. Right after that's over, we are introduced to my all-time favorite piece of music to ever come out of this series, Sanctuary, sung by the wonderful Utada Hikaru. We are also shown to what I believe to be the best CG the series has ever had. The opening starts playing Sanctuary and starts with a scene of Kairi sitting on the beach crafting the very same good luck charm she gave to Sora before the start of his journey back in Kingdom Hearts 1. It then transitions to the three best friends enjoying each other's company. This next part though is where it gets real hype. As the three friends are enjoying their time together, Kairi and Riku then start to disappear, and we are then shown another beautiful transition of Sora jumping off of the tree, and then suddenly the beat of the song drops exactly with Sora landing in Hollow Bastion. Of course, if it wasn't obvious before, the opening cutscene of Kingdom Hearts 2 is a fast retelling of the events that happened in the previous two games. Anyway, going back to the opening, Sora, Donald, and Goofy are now in Hollow Bastion, making their way up the castle walls fighting a bunch of Heartless along the way, while Sora is trying to find and save both Kairi and Riku. Sora then finds a seemingly lifeless Kairi and motions her to wake, but of course, knowing the events of the first game up to this point, she can't. Sora then glances over to see a possessed Riku. The cool thing about this scene is that Riku motions him the same way he did back in the Kingdom Hearts 1 opening cutscene, but instead of failing to reach for his hand, Sora attacks him. Riku backs up and of course reveals the real big bad of the game, who had possessed him the entire time, Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. Sora then slashes at him, and then we get another smooth transition in two different ways. Not only does it skip from their first meeting in Hollow Bastion all the way to the end of their fight at the end of the game by showing the door to darkness, but then it cuts right back to the scene where Sora loses his heart so that he can save Kairi. It then goes to focus on Kairi and retells the very end of the game where she is put back on Destiny Islands and is bidding farewell to Sora as he goes elsewhere. As she is standing there staring into the void that took Sora away, we get a literal time skip to present day Kairi, and boy, was the past year kinda Anyway, we are then shown a parallel between Kairi and Naminé speaking the lyrics of Sanctuary at the same exact time. I can't play said song in this video because copyright, otherwise I would try, so just try and bear with me. We are then introduced to the best transition of all time, and anyone that tries to tell me otherwise better just save their breath because my lord, it is so cool. Only in this game. The way it goes from Naminé drawing on her notebook and how instead of retelling the events of KH1, it is now retelling the events of Chain of Memories is actually so clean. Man, it was so clean, I hadn't even noticed it did that until I watched it numerous times back in the day. From the point it shows Naminé's face to where Sora, Donald, and Goofy are running up the stairs also perfectly pairs with the timing of the song. The following lyrics that are played at that exact moment are, "My heart's the battleground," so of course you know my 10-year-old little heart thought it was the coolest thing I had ever seen in my life. Just that scene alone had me watching the opening over and over again. It's also extremely cool how them running up the stairs and fighting Heartless have a second meaning, though it's kinda obvious at this point. That meaning being that it's them progressing up the castle and advancing up the floors as they encounter the Organization 13 members and the plot of Chain of Memories progresses. Right after that, we are seeing 2's, as well as a cloaked individual, and if I'm being honest, for the longest time, at first I had no clue who this was. Some people think it's Roxas, while some people think it's Riku, but after asking about it and then coming to the obvious conclusion after some thought, I believe this person to be Marluxia. Why? Well, the opening is giving us that nice symbolism. Who are the two individuals who first welcomed both Sora and Riku into Castle Oblivion? 2's for Riku under the disguise of Ansem Seeker of Darkness, and Marluxia for Sora, though he had his hood up at the time. This is then reinforced when we zoom past them and standing before Sora is Marluxia himself. The neat part about this scene is that since Chain of Memories focused on both Sora and Riku's adventure through the castle, it pans back and forth between Sora fighting Marluxia and Riku fighting Ansem. A very nice touch I appreciate them adding. It then shows Sora throwing his Keyblade at Marluxia, and we get another transition of Sora and company running up and advancing to the castle, while Riku is on the opposite side doing the exact same thing. Sora then wanders in on Naminé drawing. Again, a very good drop in the music happens when Sora is suddenly consumed by the very pod he was put in at the end of Chain of Memories. Naminé seemingly mouths something to Sora, which also happens to sync up once again with the song, and he falls asleep, correctly portraying what happened in the last game. If I had to give anything its props, it's its opening for recapping the previous games in such a way that if you happen to be a person whose first game was Kingdom Hearts 2, it gets you to having these questions about who these people are and what they're doing without outright spoiling the story of the past games, and more so makes you curious enough to go back and play the others. This next part, in my opinion, is similar to the opening quote that Sora gave us in the way that I believe it has a second meaning. After Sora is put to sleep, he is then shown to be flying towards the islands, and as Naminé closes her sketchbook, Sora is back on the islands and is holding hands with his two best friends. I'd like to think that during his long sleep, which also links into my second meaning theory of this cutscene, Sora was dreaming of the goal he had had in store for himself since the near the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, to be with his best friends once again. After that, we are now at the last scene, where the music once again drops from where Sora, Kairi, and Riku are laying down, and then drops down a person we weren't familiar with when we first watched this opening. We had seen him only during the ending of Chain of Memories after beating the game entirely. Of course, now we know this person is Roxas, and if you remember, the way Roxas is falling down in this opening is the very same way Sora fell in the opening from the first Kingdom Hearts. Roxas then lands, wondering where he is, but then is greeted by Sora's Station of Awakening, and what seems to be white doves flying around him, uncovering what he had landed on. It only then makes a lot more sense that it seems like a brand new start with a brand new character on the outside, but knowing what transpires in the first few hours of the game, it is indeed a brand new start, but not the kind we were all expecting. Before making this video, I wasn't sure if I could express how much joy and excitement this opening gave me, even many years after I beat the game originally, but I tried my best to go over and explain why I do, and hopefully you guys could understand my feelings as clear as I can make them. I don't think I'm crazy in saying that this opening is a masterpiece. I personally can't find any fault with it. The presentation, the music, the way everything is laid out, it's just perfect. What else can I say? Now, this is where I would normally end the video, but I also kind of want to talk about the ending, and surprise surprise, how I think it's one of the most perfect endings I've ever seen in video games to date. I won't do a scene-by-scene analysis, and we'll just instead cover it very quickly, unless you guys want that as a future video or something, but the way it was wrapped up, the final fights, the way Sora received the letter from Kairi, Sora and Riku making it back to the islands to be greeted by everyone, the hugs, the laughter, the bittersweet farewells from Roxas and Naminé, and to top it all off, we have Sanctuary after the battle playing in the background. I'm not really one for crying when I play or watch different types of medias, but I can truly say the ending of KH2 had me bawling my eyes out when I played it for the first time. Then we get to the ending scene where Sora and company get a letter from Mickey and it hints at future games in the series. It's too perfect for words to describe, and I to this day cannot believe they were able to make this gem. They really put the icing on the cake for me and wrapped up everything from the first and second game in a neat and tight little bow. I couldn't have asked for more. But I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's something I've been wanting to make for the longest time, but life has been trying its best to keep me as busy as humanly possible, so I apologize for the lack of videos lately. Things should be back in full force within the next month or so, but I want to thank you guys that are still here from the bottom of my heart. Please, if you feel similar or want to share your experience with whatever Kingdom Hearts opening that is your personal favorite down below in the comments, please do so. I'd love to be able to interact with you guys with which opening is your favorite and why, and or if you found any different meaning in the things that I talked about in this opening. Though, as always, it's been Limit, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace and take care.